Sports for All Sports podcast.
You are joining us on the All Sports podcast. If you want to get in touch at allsportspods@gmail.com. Like, follow, auto-download, give it a 5-star on Spotify. That helps with the exponential audience growth that we're experiencing. Worldwide domination. North America conquered. Just Mexico to go. We've got Canada, USA ticked off. Just Mexico to go on the list. On the pod today, James, how are you doing?
Not bad, guys. How are you?
Yep, good, mate. What about you, Joel?
All good, thanks, Matt.
Running through the schedule then, we'll do a bit of a football roundup, Premier League and Europe. Europe is going on right now while we're recording. If you notice any slowness or distraction in the conversation, that's probably because we've got both games live at the same time. We'll do golf at the Masters. Finally, Masters Week is here. One of the best golf weeks of the year. F1, big crash in F1, and Red Bull continue their domination. And then a little bit of miscellaneous sport, if we get the chance at the end. But we will be cramming because we're trying to do it in the first half of the football. So
2-1 Real Madrid.
There you go.
Live updates.
Yeah, I mean, live updates, if you are listening to this Wednesday evening, will be fairly delayed updates. So if you are saving the pod for whilst you watch the football.
One thought that I did have when you're doing that intro is when you said the email address. Do you remember when you used to say email address and you'd say all one word, no capitals? As if that.
Did I?
No, but I think generally, like as a general thing.
Oh, okay. Not
like
when
I.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you do it specifically, but I feel like that was a thing in the early days of email that you'd say, yeah, XYZ, all one word, all lowercase. But obviously that doesn't.
No caps. It's
no
also
caps.
like no caps.
Yeah.
Like it made a difference. I used to think it did. I wonder at what point in my life did I realise that caps didn't make a difference?
Yeah, I think it was a recent thing. Anyway, let's know there.
All right, football roundup then. Let's whip through the fixtures. In the Premier League this weekend, we had the title race heating up with City away to Palace, Arsenal away to Brighton, and Liverpool away to United. So the big three away. How did they do?
Two of them looked great, and one of them looked very ropey.
I'm going to predict that Man City and Arsenal looked great. And although I think City didn't look great, I actually thought they looked beatable or drawable.
Vulnerable at least. Like Arsenal look so imperious at the moment. Those two centre-halves are giving them so much confidence. But not just them, Rice as well, like has been a game changer for them this season. And yeah, they look like they don't think they're ever going to lose at the moment. So yeah, right now, I mean, it changes week to week, doesn't it? But this week, they're my favourites. Like, I just think they look so good. But they've got tough games, haven't they? They've still got to go to Tottenham. They've still got to go to Old Trafford. Arsenal definitely. Yeah.
How much of a bearing does the Champions League games that they're playing at the moment have on the title race?
Yeah, I think it is a factor, and I just don't know if so. Like when you look at City, they've got like Foden did what he did last midweek, and then they just take him out and bring in De Bruyne, who did what he did at the weekend. And I'm still like, do Liverpool and Arsenal have that? Like, could Arsenal just swap out Saka and bring in somebody at the same level? Could Liverpool just swap out Salah and bring in someone at the same level? I think the answer is probably no. So is that going to be the biggest factor, that City have those players who they can rotate? But like I say, they look vulnerable. They look vulnerable to pace, and they don't look as secure as Arsenal at the moment.
Well, those players, and that's probably the difference between them at the moment, right, is City have relied a little bit, and it's 1-1, Bayern have scored, Serge Gnabry, ex-Arsenal players, scoring against Arsenal.
Wow.
Then doing a sort of writing a contract sort of sign. Like, did you not give me a contract? Is that what that means? Harry Kane's patting him on the back. Oh, this is disgusting.
That's a bad watch, that one.
But I think Arsenal have got an all-round team that are on the same page, and they look like a very good team. City still look like very good individuals. Like, so those individual moments of brilliance. Like, but if they don't have a player that is a 10 out of 10 on the day, are they still winning the game? At the minute, it looks like they're relying on that.
Well, they are a machine at the same time. Like, there were times in that second half against Palace where Palace just could not get the ball off them. So that's a factor as well. The fact that they're able to conserve energy. I mean, Arsenal do this as well. Liverpool less so. Like, I feel broadly, like, how have Liverpool done what they've done this season with the injuries that they've had and the way that they play in such like a chaotic nature, really. Like, you look at that side, I'm going off on a tangent a little bit, but ultimately, I think, like, yeah, the platform that Arsenal have is really strong. City still have that machine-like, robotic, keep the ball, suffocate the opposition that way. But off the ball at the moment, yeah, Arsenal look stronger, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, Arsenal looking good touch throughout. I think City, they're a bit of a weird one because obviously they've got the Champions League games coming up. Pep tends to overthink things and you get a rogue result in the middle of there. But yeah, Arsenal runs the hardest. City have got the best squad, and then Liverpool have got the big boost of having Alisson, Trent, and Bajcetic is now back as well. So they've got a lot of players coming back from injury. So hopefully that'll bring them back in the season kill.
Who was that last one?
Bajcetic, you know, the whole midfielder that came through last year or so. He's been in for about 12 months.
I think he scored against Villa last year.
Yeah, he looks like a talent every time he plays. He's like a great six. I think from what I was really struggling with, he was struggling with growing pains, related injuries. That's put him out for a long time.
Yeah.
And then obviously Liverpool have now got the news going on around them that apparently they've appointed their manager for next season as well. That's all being strongly rumoured today.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Who's it going to be?
Ruben Amorim, I think I'm saying that right.
Amorim,
yeah. He's coming from Sporting Lisbon, a very similar style of play to Xabi Alonso, so like a 3-4-3, very fluid formation, and Liverpool have been after their left centre half for the best side of the year, so hopefully he comes with him.
And I assume that he's not on a 2-year contract until Alonso comes. Like, this is going to be a long-term deal.
It's a 3-year deal that's been rumoured, so it's not like the longest term you've seen from a manager, but he's also unproven in the Prem, so I don't think 3 years is the right decision. Wrong decision.
How's he doing as Lisbon manager?
They're top by about 3 points. I think they beat Benfica at the weekend.
They won the league the first season that he was there. I think the second season they dropped off a little bit. I don't know what they did last season. Maybe that was last season because we were heavily linked with Villa. Were heavily linked with Amorim when they got Unai Emery. So is that right, or was it when they got Gerrard? Oh, I don't know. But anyway, he's got quite an interesting career path because I think he was initially like Benfica.
Well, he's only 39.
Yeah, he's quite young, and like he hadn't managed that many games before he went to Sporting. But they put this huge release clause in his contract. So I think like there's been a lot of confidence around him for a long time that he would be a really top level coach.
He's at Braga.
Braga, that's it, not Benfica. Sorry, yeah. So I think he only managed like 11 games at Braga or something crazy like that, like not very many at all. And then Sporting picked him up and whacked this huge release clause in his contract because they kind of knew that one of the big clubs would come for him eventually.
So he's Braga B team manager, and then Braga senior squad. So Braga B in 2019 only, and then 2019-20 season. So less than a season he did the first team squad.
It seems to be a very data-driven appointment. I think he ticks a lot of the boxes that the Liverpool higher-ups like in terms of possession football, fluid football.
And that's fine in the Portuguese B team, and then for Sporting, who are one of the best.
He hadn't won a league title in 20 years before he got there. So.
Yeah, he turned them around. Yeah.
And he's also the big benefit of him over Xabi Alonso, I think, is the number of games that he's had in the last 4 years, rather than Xabi's done it for a season, 2 seasons.
And he's had a bit of adversity as well. I think there were some question marks over him in the second season, and it wasn't quite going as well as it did in the first, and he seems to have turned it around. So, he's got that experience. I do think it's a tough. Klopp is always going to be a tough act to follow, isn't he? So,
yeah. I mean, you've seen it in the other big clubs when they've let go of managers. They've been there for a long period of time. It's incredibly hard to transition. We'll see. Watch this space.
They've got the easiest run, haven't they?
They've got a decent run in. Yeah, they've got to play Everton away. I think that's their only really difficult. They've got to play
we said the other week, didn't we, that they've got Spurs and Man United would love to stop them winning the league, and they've already dropped their first 2 points, so they can't afford to drop many more. How many more do we reckon? 3 points total. You can probably now afford to drop, like a one loss or a draw. I don't know.
I don't know if you watched the game itself. Did you watch United Liverpool?
Yes, yeah, I did.
So I've noticed it more and more now when I watch United, and then I actually saw a clip of it being raised when he was at Ajax by Ruud Gullit. He makes the point that Erik ten Hag has this obsession of his midfielders bombing on to mark the back four of the opposition team, so his whole midfield presses up, and then as soon as you beat that, your defence is so open, and that's just and the games are chaos because of it.
Yeah, I was listening to the Monday Night Club on BBC last night, and they had Andros Townsend on there. I think it talks really well, actually. I quite enjoy listening to him. And he talked about that, about how they press. And then he says, but their reaction to that press getting beaten isn't what you'd expect. What should be happening is when that press is beaten, is the centre-backs also push up and close the space. But actually what they're doing is turning around and running backwards. So it's like they're just left with oceans of space in front of them. But that seemed to spook Liverpool on Sunday.
They had too much time. They had way too much time to think about it.
They just didn't know what to do. They had too many options
against United. But you know why? Because they're almost playing like a combination of a high press and a low block at the same time. It makes no sense. Yeah, it was the counter attack. Liverpool could have scored 5 goals in the first half, and then you knew it was going to come back and bite them.
It doesn't feel like Ten Hag's going to be there next year. All of the noises that are being made feel like they're going to be looking for a new coach in the summer as well.
Just depends who, though. If they put Southgate in charge, they're going to be in even more trouble.
Are Chelsea going to be looking for a new manager as well?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they're not, to be honest. They can't keep going like this. I mean, I'd have some sympathy with Pochettino because I don't think the squad is really set up for success. But, someone's got to be accountable, and it's usually the coach, isn't it? So they just look really bad at the moment. They do not look like a good side at all.
Got very unlucky. Their star signing in Kunku was meant to be lighting the Premier League alive. Yeah. I don't get on the pitch.
But then you've got other ones like Caicedo and Enzo who just don't. You £200 million worth of talent there, and it's a bit like they've had a decent run together as well. They look like they'd kind of turned the corner January, February time. Looked like the side was a bit more settled, but they seem to have gone backwards a little bit, and I think that points to the coach.
That's damning on the coach because they're 2 great players that have no idea how to play.
Yeah. So, I would expect that they're going to be in the market as well.
You can't be dropping points away at Sheffield United.
No. At any point, they're not really paying for a lot, but they've got to have some pride.
Exactly.
Another team dropping points this week, unfortunately, and dropping out of 4th spot, Aston Villa.
Yeah, we look... I mean, I wasn't there. But
you weren't there?
No, I wasn't. But
they do win when you go.
Yeah, maybe I should go more. So from what I've heard of the people who were there...
what were they saying?
Everybody was just very surprised that Brentford had scored 3 times. It was almost like it didn't happen. I think
that's how I felt watching it.
Yeah, it all just happened so fast. I've seen the goals and whatever, and it looks like they just had a complete brain fart for 10 minutes in defence, completely overloaded in the middle of the box. There's a screenshot. I took a screenshot of one of the goals. I think it might be the first goal. where it's 5-on-3 in Brentford's favour in our box. It's like, how is that happening? They look a bit of a mess, but we're struggling with no Boubacar Kamara. That's been a big factor for Villa. And yeah, he's really good. He gives us a bit more structure. Like, so at the weekend, it was Tielemans and Douglas Luiz at the kind of basing in midfield, and both of them want to be on the ball, which is great. Like, when we are on the ball, they're both good players and make things happen. But off the ball, they can get caught out, and that's what happened for 10 minutes, I think. And then they kind of reset, managed to get the points, but they look very tired. We don't look as strong as Tottenham at the moment, I don't think. Like, I watched the first half of that Tottenham game, and they looked like they were in trouble. And then they just have this ability to take the game away from teams that we don't really have.
They made the rowing subs ever. They brought on Højbjerg and Bentancur, and they looked amazing.
It worked. Yeah, exactly. And Villa just don't have that in the middle of the park at the moment. So for them to be able to take off Basuma and Papisar, who are both really good, and bring on Højbjerg and Bentancur, who, you know, played really well. Like, Højbjerg's a bit of a funny one, isn't he? I always think. But yeah, Ange seems to have got them. But Højbjerg's not playing very often. But when he brings him on, he looks very motivated and stuff. So he's got really good mentality and stuff like that. So yeah, I think they're in the box seat, but they've got tough fixtures. So Villa, I think it'll go down to the wire probably. Maybe the last couple of games, but with the way that, well, Arsenal were winning. So this round of European fixtures is very important for Villa because if West Ham and Arsenal progress past Bayern and Leverkusen, then it will be almost certain that England get the extra Champions League spot through the coefficients. And also Villa can have a big influence on that as well by getting past Lille and by just winning the conference, basically. So there's not actually any what I'd expected is that you would get a different number of points in the coefficients for each of those tournaments, but it's not actually what happens. They're all worth the same. So yeah, so that can that's why Villa can have a big impact on their own destiny, basically. So I think United would have to win 7 out of 8 games to catch Villa if Villa get 2 more wins.
I don't see them doing that.
Yeah, which is like, that's hard for them to do, and I feel like Villa will get and I feel like Villa will get those 2 wins. So focusing on 5th and maybe putting a little bit more priority onto the Conference League and trying to win that might be Villa's best bet because they can kind of ensure that that 5th spot is up for grabs.
Yeah,
that's good. We're going to travel a little bit further down the league now, as Everton have been docked a further 2 points, and we'll talk about that. The league are determined to relegate Everton. Forest dropped 3 points, and Luton gained 3 points.
Right at the end.
So Luton are level on 25 points with Forest and only 2 points behind Everton on 27. Does that 27 include the 2 that have been docked?
Yes, because they were on 29.
It does. Okay, right. So the pod's favourite second team, Luton, are in with a shout.
Incredible.
Staying up. Come on.
I
don't mind Forest going down or Everton. If Everton go down, it's going to be terminal, especially with that new stadium being built. And we interrupt this broadcast to go live from the feed. No.
Good chance. Really good chance for Real Madrid. I actually thought it was in. I'm watching on my phone and he's absolutely spooned it wide. But it just all the crowd went up. So I just thought it had got
the same thing there. I saw your face.
Well, in the other game, unfortunately, the anti-Arsenal players keep on doing it, and Harry Kane scored a penalty. It looked like a dubious penalty from my biased opinion, but Harry Kane put it away quite comfortably. He fooled Raya. Raya went early, and Harry Kane slotted it in. So, yeah, everyone would be very happy that Kane scored against Arsenal. Really helps with the narrative, doesn't it?
Do you think any Spurs fans snuck in?
Snuck in to listen to this pod.
No.
If they did, they're not welcome. And if they snuck into the Emirates, they're also not welcome. Right. Is that enough football? That's quite a lot of football.
That was a lot of football. Yeah, I feel like we're
about the Prem quickly, because if Burnley and Sheffield United weren't having two stinker seasons, we'd have one of the best relegation scraps of all time.
Honestly,
Yeah.
like 19 and 16,
19 and 16 respectively.
32 game weeks.
United are making more of a fist of it now recently. Like, they seem to be in a few more games. But yeah, we could be having such a good season, just those two just anchoring the bottom.
Yeah.
Right then, on to the golf.
The best week of the year in the golfing calendar.
It is the best week of the year. Joel, do you think it's the best week of the golfing year?
Yeah, absolutely. I love watching golf at Augusta. Yeah.
Can't beat it.
No.
It's beautiful course. I think the coverage, Sky Sports golf coverage is phenomenal. Now that they have they've got the, the hologram golf putting green and golfers swings that come live into the studio. It's pretty advanced.
I love the did they call it the swing zone or something?
That's swing zone.
I love
Nothing
that.
better than someone going in there trying to show a technique off and then getting a big old shank.
Yeah. Yeah, relatable.
Yeah, very relatable. I think the Masters is up there with my favourite sporting week of the whole year. It doesn't matter if it's just golf, just to sit there and watch it. Obviously, the first 2 days have gone practice days, and you're getting the rumours out there. Rumours of Tiger shooting 600 in the front nine yesterday got me a little bit interested.
Yes, John was doing that over 4 days, though, wasn't he? That's the key.
But I've backed him now, so I'm a believer again.
You'd have backed him even if he didn't do that, though.
Yeah. So my 4 bets, my picks are: I've gone Rory to win. I've gone Tiger each way. I've gone Hideki Matsuyama each way. And then I've thrown in the most hated golfer on the planet, Patrick Reed, each way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just like
Patrick Reed. Is he on form?
Not massively, no, but I just...
Right. So this is the problem. You self-proclaimed yourself to have the most golfing knowledge of the three of us, and you've called Patrick Reed as a pick for the Masters.
Yeah, course and distance is...
Course and distance is a lot. It's betting value, Matt.
Is this 5 years? Is this pick 5 years old?
It's not far off. Yeah, no, I actually think, Rory's probably the way to start with. I think he's come in with the least amount of pressure that he has in the last...
I know you say that until today when they have paired him with Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah. And they also...
Have you heard him speak today?
Rory,
yeah.
No.
I think he seems level-headed. Apparently he's been on with Butch Harmon.
Yeah, that's probably important for him. I feel like a lot of Rory's problems are probably between the ears now. He's obviously one of the best golfers that's ever played, and he just can't turn it on him.
I talked about not trying to win it from the first tee shot and stuff like that. So hopefully he's, taking a level head into it.
Yeah, I heard the interesting anecdote he told about going to see Butch Harmon. He told his daughter where he was going for a golf lesson, and she said, "But you already know how to play golf, Dada." And he said, that's all he needed to hear. That's what he's needed to hear for a couple of years, is that he does know how to play golf.
Yeah,
and he really does know how to play golf. So you're right, James. It's definitely between the ears, isn't it?
I mean, it is, but I think if I don't know if anyone's seen Scheffler play recently, but if Scheffler played, he could win by 5, and no one else would have a chance.
Playing with him is not going to help Rory.
No, not at all. But I mean, you say that, but if Scheffler's going hot, it could keep Rory hot as well. He would go toe to toe with him. Mm-hmm. He is going to be the shortest odds for a major since Tiger Woods in 2013.
Who's Scheffler?
Yeah, that's how much he's fancied.
Yeah.
Scheffler's latest odds that I've seen 9-2.
Yeah, he's gone out then. He was 4s.
Was he?
During my
he's 4s. He's 4s on some.
It's very short for a golf tournament, isn't it?
It's very short. That's nearly a sure thing. And then so then next to Chef is Rory, Rahm, Schauffele, Koepka, interestingly, Matsuyama, Spieth, Joaquin Niemann, interesting in the top 10 picks. Yeah, James talked about him a bit in terms of his live his live status and how he's been performing. I'll be really interested to see how the live golfers perform over the 72 holes. I'm sure they're fit for it, but it's a big difference playing 3 days to 4. Big difference.
So betting odds, right?
Mm-hmm.
In obviously the UK, you get decimal and you get fraction. Why in America are they plus and minus? What on earth does that mean? So you see golfers plus 1,000. I genuinely haven't got a clue what that means.
Is it a spread?
Honestly, I just saw. So when I was doing my research about odds on like the shortest odds winners and all this, Tiger at one point was actually minus 125, which I think is.
Is this why you've picked Patrick Reed? Because you've.
You think he's 125 one? He's not.
No, he's 80. But no, I think so. At one point, Tiger might have been odds-on favourite to win the Masters. That's how short he was in 1 year. That's the shortest I think there's ever been.
Right.
But yeah, you don't know either, so maybe I'll have to do some homework.
I don't know. So I know that America's a bit more spread betting, but that's the only thing I can think of.
Very strange. So yeah, I did like Joaquin Niemann. He can move the ball right to left as well, which is always useful around Augusta. You've got a lot of people coming in from Live with some weird unknown form. So Brooks shot 8 over, I think, in Miami. Rahm played okay, but he has been very vocal about not liking 54-hole tournaments this week. So he's digging his own issues with Liv, as you say. I think someone's terribly missold Jon Rahm. I think he's told them, you leave, the merger will happen, you'll be $300 million richer, and you'll come back. And he's now getting a little bit fed up with where he is.
Yeah, well, he said one of the things that I read that he had said was when it was announced about the kind of agreement taking place between the PGA and Liv, like that was a turning point for him. So he's obviously done it on the basis of that, taken a massive money deal as he was number one golfer in the world at that point and possibly still is in the top 3. And you were shaking your head because you thought I was going to say possibly still is number one. We know Scotty Scheffler's number one.
Yeah, Scotty, Rory, Jon Rahm, Wyndham Clark, Xander Schauffele.
Wyndham Clark, yeah, don't talk about him a lot, but he's worth a shout. Right, so should we do some predictions?
Yeah, how do you want to do this?
We'll do some picks. You can have four. We'll do 4 each. Is that all right?
Yeah.
That's only 12 players. Right, we'll do heads or tails. Joel,
Heads.
It's heads. I'm currently in third. Me and James. Call it, James.
Tails.
It's heads. Joel and James. Joel, call it.
Tails.
It's heads.
Wait, did I win one?
Yeah.
So we all won one. We'll do it age. Right. Matt, Joel, James. Age before beauty. Sorry, James. If it was beautiful before age, it would still be this order. So, right. My first pick then. I
love that. What do I pick at first?
Who should I pick? In this fictional game that we're now playing, I'm going to go for Scotty Scheffler. You won't be surprised to know.
So is that me next?
Yeah.
I'll take Tommy Fleetwood.
Love it, Joel. That's a beautiful pick.
I
can't wait. I can't wait to watch him play. I love watching him hit a long iron.
Same.
I love Joaquin Niemann.
Right. So of the picks that you've made, James,
You haven't backed any of them.
Yeah, carry on. We've still got time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm picking Rory.
Okay.
I'll
Joel.
go Spieth.
Is someone noted these down somewhere?
Yes, I'm noting them down.
I'll have Ludwig Aberg.
Ooh.
And I'm taking Rahm. I feel like, what's going on here?
I'm just picking the ones I like.
Okay, fine.
I'll take Koepka.
Oh, it's a good pick. That was mine. I'm going to throw in the GOAT. I'll have Tiger Woods.
Oh, that's just a wasted pick.
That's heart overhead, that.
Pardon?
That's heart overhead.
It is heart overhead. I'm torn between Russell Henley and Adam Scott.
So you just pick the 3 best golfers in the world and then you're going to go to Adam Scott?
I don't want either of them, so pick whichever one you want.
I might go Henley. I'm going to go Russell Henley.
And I'm going to take Hovland.
I'm going to take the second most hated golfer in the game, Patrick Cantlay.
Cantlay was my other one. I was toying between Cantlay and Hovland.
Cool. Right. So Matt has picked Scheffler, Rory, Rahm, and Henley. Joel, Tommy Fleetwood, Jordan Spieth, Brooks Koepka, and Victor Hovland.
I reckon you've just
And-
picked like, the best night out, Joel.
And James has picked Joaquin Neiman, Aberg, Tiger Woods, and Cantley.
That's a four-ball.
That's a football. It's
I don't know if you've seen who Ludwig's playing with. It's Ludwig Aberg, Spieth, and Segala. And Segala and Spieth are known for being, they can be a bit wayward. So the meme is just Ludwig Aberg in the middle of the fairway, like, where is everybody? Yeah. What else did we have for? Oh, yeah, we had a bit. So Ashkai Bhatia, I think Ashkai Bhatia is basically his name. He won the PGA Tour event on Sunday to book himself a last-minute invitation.
Yeah.
It's nice.
At 22 years old as well. He's gone against the grain when you come to playing professional golf. He didn't play college. He went straight to playing pro. He won last year in a sort of lower designated event when there was like a lot of pros there. And then until the last day, he was blowing people out of the water at the weekend. I don't know if you've watched this Sunday, but he was up by 5 or 6 shots into the last round. And second place guy knocked in 7 birdies in the back 9 to force it to a playoff.
Oh, wow.
And then he dumped one in the water in the playoff, and Bhatia won. So, yeah, he just snuck by, but I've always liked him quite a lot.
There's a nice little story as well. He met his fiancée there at that course or something 3 years ago. So that was nice.
I think like I say, he's only 22. He's left-handed. He swings it beautifully. I might have to put a 5 on him at the Masters just to place at like 100 to 1.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Texas Open. Yeah. Oh, and Russell Henley. Okay, I'm fairly happy with my Russell Henley pick then. And Tommy Fleetwood and Matsuyama were in the mix as well. Okay. They're not outside bets, are they?
I mean, I play a lot of golf and I think I watch a decent amount, but I genuinely couldn't tell you who Russell Henley is. I know the name, but I couldn't tell you what it looks like.
Okay, that's fine. You've got your picks, I've got mine. Slagging them off.
Right. You've seen that he's knocked in a 62 at some point and fancied it?
No. I mean, this weekend he got 69, 69, 71, 69.
Annoying.
Solid.
Okay.
I mean, as wild as Patrick Cantley. So,
yeah. Final point on golf: is golf the hardest individual sport?
Well, so Joel, what James and I were talking about, in our private chats that don't include you, were what is the hardest individual skill in sport? So I was talking about a baseball batter against an incoming pitch. So 95 to 100 mile an hour pitch, and swinging to hit that pitch. James said hitting a golf ball off a tee was harder.
No, I said playing golf was harder because
said individual skill, like an individual skill in a sport, like penalty kick in football.
No. Golf is
obviously, yeah.
Because if you miss a baseball, you get another go. You miss another baseball.
You've got somebody else who's going to hit.
Yeah, but we're not. Yeah, we're talking about the individual technical skill, not about how many goes you get.
But I think the pressure also plays a part, and there's so much pressure in golf. I always think tennis as well. Like you're playing against 2 people on the court, basically. That's such a huge mental game. And like the amount of shots they have to play, their technique has to be perfect for the majority of them. So yeah, I feel like that technique of golf personally is certainly harder than baseball.
No, I agree. I think it wasn't a cross that I was dying on, was baseball, but it was an example of where you're not in control of the other variables, like what the pitch is that's coming toward you.
A baseball you can hit everywhere and it's fine. A golf ball you have to hit in a very small margin.
The margins are tiny, aren't they?
Yeah.
Archery?
Don't know.
It's not. I mean, you're probably in a really niche sport that's impossible.
Yeah. But these are sporting technical skills that are incredibly hard.
I would say golf. It's another point I made to Matt that it's also got the biggest skill gap. So you can be a handicap golfer.
Yeah.
And you're closer to a 20 handicap than you are a pro. Like that, the gap is enormous.
Yeah, we were talking about some of the golf YouTube channels last week, weren't we? And like some of those are really good players, and they're nowhere near tour level. Absolutely nowhere near.
They're getting bashed for being rubbish in their comments because they.
Wow. Yeah, except for Dan Grieve, that is better short game than most tour pros.
Yeah, as we know.
As we well know. And James has got the merchandise.
I've
James
also
has
got
got the little divot marker.
Yeah.
Oh, have you done it as well, James?
No, Matt gave it to me for my birthday.
Oh, right, okay.
He gifted me the ball marker.
I gave him a freebie that I got for his birthday.
To be fair, it's my most prized possession. It always comes out during a round, and someone goes, "You been to Dan Grieve School?" I go, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Not seen this short game, mate. Yeah.
So, what percentage of golfers break 100?
I know the answer to this, so I'll let Joel go.
Joel,
33%.
55%. So it's fairly high. And then you drop it down. What percentage of golfers break 90?
25.
Yep. And what percentage break 80?
10.
2 to 5%.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the stat for breaking par was like under a percent. It's like 0.9%.
Yeah.
So yeah, skill gap. James is right. Is that percentage of players that play golf and where they are in terms of the level for the pros to scratch golfers is vast.
I think football's a bit like that, but I'm not going to argue.
Yeah, but in football you can get a National League team can beat a Premier League team in one game because it's 11 versus 11. I could never beat Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, club golf I couldn't beat Rory McIlroy. Yeah.
And I could play for Man City against Chesterfield, and Man City would still beat Chesterfield.
Depends where you played.
Okay, all right. Centre forward.
There's only 2 managers in English football that have knocked Pep Guardiola out of an FA Cup, and we have one of them.
Who's we?
Chesterfield. Paul Cook knocked out Man City with Wigan. Will Grigg scored
Okay,
the
but not Chesterfield.
No, but we own Will Grigg as well if it helps.
You do own Will Grigg.
Yeah.
All right, we're now in the half time break, so let's keep going through the agenda. Anyway, buzzing for the golf this weekend. So on to F1. F1 Suzuka. Unfortunate, it's a brilliant racetrack, but it was just a bit of a procession again for Red Bull. So it's not really a lot to talk about in terms of the leaderboard because no one's going to catch Max. It's already a done deal. I guess the talking point's really going to be more around the midfield and who's going to get driver seats because there's a lot of seats open. So it feels like it's more competitive and there's a lot more at play in the pack.
If you just take that first bit you just said about procession, nice track, just copy and paste that for every week because that is going to be how this season goes for the next 18 races. No one will get near them.
Not every track's a nice track, though, so you can't copy and paste that. But
there's not that many tracks I don't like. I just think the cars are too big and people can't overtake. Like the tracks themselves are lovely. It's just they are processions because the cars are too wide. So, but I don't know if you read today. There's a big hoo-ha about the 2026 regulations. I don't think they're giving them enough time, and there's some argument that they'll push it back to 2027. So there'll be a whole nother year of this.
No.
And a whole nother procession.
What, there's new regulations about the width of the cars?
No, it's about the engine. Because it's a power unit regulation from what I know, and that is going to determine the chassis rather than the chassis being individual, and teams aren't happy. They've done all these simulations and stuff. And I was just reading that they might try and push it back by a year. And if they do that, Hamilton will be 41 into new regulations. Alonso will be 46. Leclerc is, he's not.
Alonso will be 46.
I think he'll be 46. I think that's right.
I think it's right. I think it's just crazy.
Verstappen will just win again, and F1 is going to die a death.
Especially if Vettel comes back too, which was a rumour. I think he started that rumour because I don't think any teams are starting that rumour.
I don't know. Mercedes being Mercedes, it makes sense that they'd bring in a driver that's not going to threaten Russell. And it's a good name for sponsors and probably could still do a job in a good car.
I think it's going to be Kimi the second, though. I still think he's coming. I think he's still coming to Mercedes.
I don't think he's doing great in F2.
Wasn't one of the reasons that Vettel retired because of the carbon footprint of Formula One?
I remember. Yes, I remember. I remember his retirement. I remember his retirement speech. Yeah. There was a lot about carbon footprint and the purpose of his life,
Yeah.
spending more time with his family. Guess he's sick of his family now.
He did say at the end of that speech, if they give me a fast car, I'll come back. Because more of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fast car and all the green.
exactly that.
But yeah, I think it's the mid pack. So the only really interesting thing that happened, and I say interesting, it was pretty dangerous. It was a crash between Ricciardo and Alex Albon on the second corner. When you watch it, it looks fairly innocuous, but actually, what happens is the high speed corner, and they both go off, but it's one after the other. And watching them plummet towards the tyre barrier and one car plummet towards another car. I mean, they were probably a foot or two away from having a head-on head in the barriers. Wow. It could have been much, much worse, but fortunately they just catapulted about 2,000 tyres into the air and onto the track. So needed a red flag and to sort that out. And then the procession carried on again. They might as well have just been racing behind a safety car. It was like that processional. The only thing that changed was pit stop overtakes, really, undercuts.
The only thing I was happy to see was Yuki got a point. That was the highlight of the race. Yuki got a point from his home ground.
Yeah, getting points in your home Grand Prix. I mean, getting points or doing well, whatever that looks like, in your home Grand Prix is really significant for these drivers that race all around the world. But actually, what they carry is a lot of home support and a lot of home sponsorship as well. One of the reasons, obviously, why people like Perez are in cars are because they bring a lot of home sponsorship into F1 and into the team.
They put a Japanese driver in during FP1 as well, Ayumu Awasa. He was an F2 driver last year. So they went full Japanese for the Grand Prix, so it was good to see. I don't know if Ricciardo's days are numbered a little bit. I feel like his return has bombed out a little bit, and I was talking in Red Bull. He races for the R Bull Racing Bulls, which is the old AlphaTauri, old Toro Rosso team.
Yeah, the team that Red Bull. Yeah, they are. Yeah, the team is like the junior team of Red Bull, where they elevate people that are doing well in the team into the number 2 seat at Red Bull, and they equally demote racers like Kvyat, Albon down into the AlphaTauri, now the RB, if they're not doing well for Red Bull. So that's what happened to Ricciardo. They brought him back as a bit of a marketing stunt, and he did a lot of press stuff as a third driver for Red Bull last year. You see a fair amount of it on Drive to Survive, the latest Drive to Survive season. And then they gave him a seat. Like, he did some testing. He did Grand Prix last year, didn't he, James?
He joined halfway through the season because less than that. Not Lawson. Who's the small guy called? Nick De Vries got 9 races, and then they dropped him. Ricciardo came back for a bit, then broke his wrist, and then they put Liam Lawson in, who had a good little stint. And then he decided to stay with Ricciardo, but Lawson will get a seat soon.
Because he's a Red Bull driver, he's around the factory and around the town a lot. Noticeable in his full F1 Red Bull gear.
No, but I think Red Bull they'll drop Perez, and I can see them taking Sainz. I think that'd be great for them.
Yeah, that would be good. I mean, Sainz is doing well. For Ferrari dropping Sainz in favour of Leclerc and Hamilton, Sainz is doing incredibly well this year.
Yeah,
he's proven it.
With a little dig, didn't he, after his podium?
Yeah, he'll be a great pick for somebody, whoever gets him.
Yeah, definitely. Don't mind where he goes. He'll do very well. I hope he gets picked up by a competitive team next year.
Yeah, definitely.
He plays a lot of golf, Sainz.
And paddle. He's just a top bloke all around.
Yeah.
Big paddle player.
Mm.
Well, unfortunately, he did that Netflix Cup. He did that Netflix Cup golf thing. Oh, I hated it. Bad for all the sports. Did we talk about that in one of the early pods? Pod 1 or 2? Yeah, hated it. What's the Netflix documentary that's coming out soon? The Mourinho one. Is it out? Is it a Mourinho one? What was it?
Yes, there was a Mourinho one being advertised. Not sure when it's out, but it'll be out soon if it's not already.
Okay. We'll be on the lookout for that.
For Man City.
Football's football's about to come back on soon, but I know we're watching it live as we record too, so I feel like we can continue just a little bit longer. I'm just going to touch on European rugby a little bit. We touched on European football, so we've had a season started for rugby for the Premiership. We've now moved back into European rugby, and the level, honestly, it's not far off international standards this weekend, specifically for some of the French teams, for Toulouse and for Bordeaux. So we spoke about Saracens destroying Harlequins a couple of weeks ago, looking like men against boys. Similarly, Bordeaux did the same to Saracens, and you see the gulf in player pool and the difference in the salary cap between the two leagues this weekend, with the French clubs just looking so much better. Like the depth of squad that they've got, that they can just pick these big strong boys and look very, very dominant. So go on.
They were talking about this Saracens result on the radio a little bit and saying that it felt like the end of an era for them.
It does, but they're in contention in the Premiership. However, they're losing their talisman, Owen Farrell, at the end of the season, who is going to play in France. We spoke actually a few pods ago about there hasn't really been that exodus of players yet.
It's happening.
I mean, a few weeks later, and it's starting to happen. So England's best player, who doesn't play for England anymore, Courtney Lawes, is going to breathe. His Northampton teammate Lewis Ludlam is also going to France. Dave Ribbons, who was at Northampton, has also gone to France. Kyle Sinclair has now signed a contract to head down south too. So it's a lot of these fringe players that are thereabouts with the England team that are just.
Has Manny retired? Tuolangi?
Well, I mean, he's has he retired? I don't know that he's actually announced his retirement, but he's not going to be eligible anymore.
I used to love Manny Tuolangi growing up. Just absolutely rocket into people. He's a bit of a loose cannon. Just my kind of rugby player.
There's a few really good Tuolangi video clips, not of just him, but there's a tribute to Tuolangi, and it's him and his brothers Henry and Alassana, and it's just them smashing through people. There's one specific one of when they targeted an old Bath player called Nick Abendinen, and that in the game it's just Nick Abendinen just taking hit after hit by the Tuolangi brothers. And the credit to him, he gets up. He's a bit of a shell of a man at the end of it, but yeah, those kind of rugby videos and those massive hits that make the game quite attractive. But it also feels like it's that part of the rugby game that's getting discouraged a little bit in the media, and the support for people getting smashed and big hits, just like it's not popular anymore. But I mean, for good reasons. Yeah, we don't want to see concussions, but we love to see big hits. I mean, one of the reasons why I love to watch rugby and played rugby was quick, skillful backs play and massive hits. I'd love trying to put a massive hit on people. In my diminutive stature, I obviously couldn't do many big hits, so I could do some more speedy tries, but not really do the big hits. But that didn't stop me trying.
Yeah, I'd have been standing out of the way of that, I think.
I watched my cousin, and he played, and this big lad was running towards him, and he did this best swerve to move out of the way of this guy rather than tackle him. He did a really good dodge to actually get out of the way of him. One of the best side steps I've seen in rugby.
Out of possession.
Out of possession.
Got it.
Yeah. Right, other miscellaneous sport. So rugby, Harlequins through to the next round. Northampton through to the next round. So we've also got Exeter through to the next round. Northampton look like they probably have got the best chance because Harlequins are playing against Bordeaux. So Sarries put 50 points on Harlequins. Bordeaux put 45 points on Saracens. So not looking good for Harlequins against Bordeaux in Bordeaux.
How many teams play in Europe? All of them?
Not quite all of them, but in the Champions Cup, I think it's maybe like 32. This is the last 16.
How many English teams play in it? All of them.
So we're now into the last 8. No, it's not all of them. It's like top 6, I think, playing the Champions Cup. So yeah, you've got Northampton Saints are playing against the Vodacom Bulls from South Africa, but they're playing at home to them, so they should go through. Quinn's away at Bordeaux. I mean, it's a lovely away trip, so I'm sure they'll be glad to be going down to Bordeaux for an away trip anyway, but probably fancying Bordeaux for that one. Then you've got Leinster, the Irish international team, playing against La Rochelle. And that's a rematch of the final from last year, so that'll be a pretty interesting one. But it's just like, it's the level of intensity that's coming out of these European games. So from the Six Nations, you went into club rugby for a couple of weeks and then into these European fixtures. Monologue over.
Do you want to cover off the sports personality of the year winner?
Well, Willie,
You better do.
Wow.
let's not talk. No, I'm not talking about sports personality of the year.
Oh yeah, you have a little history with them, don't you?
Yes, very much so.
You have a list somewhere that says, "Do not let this man anywhere near this building."
Yeah, don't let him near BBC.
I mean, yeah, incredible achievement from Russ Cook. But
What did he do? For those that are unaware,
he ran the length of Africa.
incredible.
Yeah,
South Africa to Morocco, or
Tunisia.
And from the most
Tunisia.
southern point to the most northern point, yeah, 300 and I don't want to say 392 marathon, 385 marathons.
Yeah, in
385 marathons.
Yeah, in like 356 days or something like that.
Yeah, so more than a marathon a day, and he got robbed at gunpoint at one point. He had kidney issues, he had back issues. There was so many times he thought, like, he was running through sandstorms. I was like, there's no way he's going to do this.
He had visa issues as well. I think he had to get the Algerian. He had to like send a video to the Algerian consulate or something to get a visa.
These tweet that says, "Oh yeah, I got kidney problems today," and you think, "Oh, he's going to have like a week off," and then he won't see anything for 4 days, thinking, "Oh no, he's in trouble." And it comes back 5 days later, "Oh, sorry, signal's bad. 58k."
We've been cracking on. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, incredible. It's been contested though by a small runners association who are claiming that they have a member who had already completed running the Lake of Africa. I mean, it sounds like Russ Cook's route was thousands of kilometers longer than this other guy. So I don't know what's going to come out of that. But yeah, I heard that I think it was a Daily Mail article as well. So take it with a pinch of salt.
I hate it, the fact they must have known about this for a while and they've sat until he's got
waiting. Yeah, exactly.
Until it reaches the maximum point of fanfare. By the way.
Yeah, but everybody does it. I mean, all the influencers that were in Tunisia to see him cross the finish line so they could get.
What do you mean influencers were there to watch?
Social media personalities.
Yeah. So there were, to be fair, there was a lot of them that were like, I think he was semi-famous before. Like I remember listening to a podcast that he did maybe 2 years ago with mate. So I think he was already like semi-famous in that like influencer space. But a lot of them flew across for the last day and like ran with him. I don't know if you actually saw the video, but there's a guy that crossed the line before Russ Cook, like broke the tape before he did.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, this guy
That's
must
disgusting.
be
1 year of running and
and he didn't even finish it. Yeah, it was really bad. But yeah, so then there's all these. He's done so many podcasts since, but because I've been watching the donation like for the last a year or whatever it's been, and it's been moving so slowly. I think up to like the last month, it must be on 250, 300k. Just now, he's at 860, so he's 140 away from his target.
What's he doing it in aid of?
He's got two charities.
One is a running charity getting young people out doing exercise, and the other is refugee charity, maybe.
Sandblast. Yeah, it is. I think it's refugee camps to promote talent, knowledge, self-reliance and support links.
Like the biggest refugee camp in maybe in the Sahara. I'm not sure.
Sahrawi? Yeah, Sahrawi.
Yeah, Sahrawi. Yeah, there we go.
So yeah, 860k, which is I mean, I think once it gets it's getting the national press now, but he'll do the whole podcast tour. He'll end up on Joe Rogan, and that'll probably double by the time he's done.
Yeah.
But I just can't. I was listening to something he was saying yesterday. Like,
Are we not having him on?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, get in touch with him.
yeah.
I reckon he would come on.
See if he'll get for the 10th one. We'll get him a beer.
Well, we won't get him for the 10th, but I'm working on special guests for the 10th.
Sorry, is he better than Russ Cook?
Well, yeah, I mean, the better is subjective, isn't it?
Yeah, he was saying, someone was interviewing saying, how do you keep motivated? And he goes, all he really wanted to do was like build a legacy. Like every time he wanted to stop, it's like, no, my name will go down. I was like, yeah, it's a pretty cool thing to run for, isn't it? Like, he'll forever be known as this guy that ran the length of Africa. But it's just built different. I saw my favourite thing that said is, don't know if you know who David Goggins is, but it says David Goggins has pictures of Russ Cook on his wall. Really
David Goggins would hate that.
Yeah. It's just some people built differently.
Inspirational though, just and I like that he's doing the charities he's doing it for. Sound like they're not just.
Yeah, I kind of like that he's done it under the radar. So he's had to work quite hard to get he's had to really stick with it. He, like you say, the donations were creeping for a long time. I feel like he didn't really get the traction for a while. And then last month or so, I feel like it's kind of reached the national press and much more interesting to have that determination and that, I guess, that kind of trust that eventually it's all going to be worth it, because there must have been some moments where it felt very lonely.
Imagine how he feels now. I know, like, you've been doing this for 360 days. What, like, I'm not going to run 50k tomorrow. Your body must be so confused.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of someone who recently did a 75-day program, I can confirm that in the days after that, you feel very lost. So I think that he probably feels the same.
The two achievements.
Yeah, same ballpark, right?
All Sport Podcast's very own Russ Cook. There it is. All right, that sounds like a very nice place to end this podcast. If you've liked what you've heard, or if you haven't, give us a follow. Go auto-download on Spotify. Give us 5 stars. And get in touch at allsportspods, all one word, at gmail.com. Thanks, everyone. Cheers, Joel.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, James.